Good morning, General Counsel. Do we have a quorum?
Madam Chair, you do have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. Good morning, I'm Ann Valentine, Chief of Staff to Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch, serving as her designee today. I am calling to order the January 2023 meeting of the IHCDA Board of Directors. We are meeting pursuant to this board's policy for participation by members of the IHCDA Board of Directors in board meetings by simultaneous electronic communication. This means that only 3 members must be physically present at the site of the meeting, and the remaining members may call in. There will be an audio feed for the general public so that members of the public can listen to the meeting, and there will be a link to a video recording posted on IHCDA's website next month. At the time that motions are being made, each board member that makes a motion must state his or her first and last name for the record. The votes will then be tallied by roll call. In a moment, I'm going to take a roll call, but first I would like to welcome our newest board member, our new Treasurer of State, Daniel Elliott. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Great to have you. I will now take a roll call of board members to confirm members who are present and their location. So when you acknowledge that you're present, just if you could state where you are currently, if you are here or if you are online, which we are happy to see June with us. Thank you. I am Valentine, designee for Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch, present in the room. Andy Seibert, designee for State Public Finance Director Dan Hughey. In here.
Present.
Thank you. Board member Daniel Elliott.
Present in the room.
Thank you. Board member June Midkiff.
Present remote.
Thank you, June. Board member Andy Place. Board member Michael Schockmeyer.
Present in the room.
Board member Tom McGowan. All right. Thank you. Our first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the December 15th, 2022 board meeting. Board, any questions regarding the December 15th board minutes?
Mike Schockmeyer, move for approval.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
June Midkiff, second.
Wonderful. Now I'll take a roll call for approval. All those, when you are voting in favor, say aye. Ann Valentine, aye. Andy Seibert.
Abstain. I wasn't here.
Daniel Elliott.
Abstain.
June Midkiff.
Aye.
Michael Schockmeyer.
Aye.
Hearing no one opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Next, please welcome Alan Rakowski, who will present the recommendation for the 2023 LIHTC program, Affordable Housing Development Fund and Housing Trust Fund.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, my name is Alan Rakowski. I'm the Director of Real Estate Allocation here at IHCDA. We have a presentation today for you. This is the 2023 annual rental housing tax credit round recommendations that we are bringing to you today. So beginning with the tax credit ceiling, this tells us how many credits we have to allocate for this year's round. The 2023 per capita credits is 18.7 million. Add to that remaining credits from 2022, about 2.2 million. And our per capita credit ceiling for this year's round is 20,918,631. A summary of the rounds, and a lot of these details are in your board packet and board memo, but I'll highlight some of the key numbers here. We received 33 applications that came in. The total amount of credits requested was 36.493 million. 2,250,000 in home funds were requested, 15.5 in development funds, 5.5 million in housing trust fund, and then 36 vouchers to the Section 811 PRA program. Today we are recommending 17 applications for funding. The total amount of per capita credits recommended is 18,636,247. Total amount of home funds recommended is 1.5 million. Development fund is at 10,310,000. Housing trust fund at 6,250,000, and 36 vouchers through Section 811 PRA. So some background on the process to be able to make recommendations here today. It really began, you could say, at the conclusion of last year's rounds. What we do at the conclusion of the round is meet with the teams that either had an award, but also those that did not, to do a debriefing, and it helps them determine if it's a project they want to continue to pursue and come back with in the next tax credit round. So that round officially began on April 4th of 2022. That's when we released the 23-24 QAP. We established the deadline in that QAP. The deadline was July 25th. 1 month prior to that, in June, the applicants were required to submit to us a notice of intent and also a capital needs assessment if they're doing rehab. Those were sent to us in advance to help us prepare for the round. As I mentioned, July 25th was the deadline for the applications, and we received 33. Once we got the applications, we began our due diligence process as far as making sure that we reviewed threshold, underwriting, the market study cost analysis, and scoring. And that was a lengthy process to go through all of that. That started in July, and by October, we had completed most of that review. On August 9th, we issued a memo to the applicant. So this is our first correspondence after they applied to give them a timeline as to when they could expect to hear from us and key dates over the course of the round. On September 26th, we issued technical correction or clarification letters. So these are letters that we issued to every applicant. Once we reviewed the application, if there are any items that didn't meet threshold or we needed clarification on, we sent them letters and gave them 2 weeks to respond to that. On October 20th, we notified the highest elected officials of each community. So this is a requirement. Every project that comes in, we notify the highest elected official to let them know that that project has come in and make them aware of the process and when the awards will be made. In October, we then issued preliminary score sheets. So this is a second set of correspondence with the applicants. They had our threshold review. The second component is to review their score sheet and do a score that compares IHCDA score to their self-score. And by doing that, gives them a chance to comment. They have 3 days to comment just to make sure that our interpretation of what they've submitted is the same as what they submitted to us, and also to note any discrepancies that they may see as a result of our review. So after that, things changed a little bit. By early November, we were in a position that we could continue to, we could make the awards in November, but what we realized is because of the market, the housing market, and the interest rates particularly going up so much in the third and fourth quarter of last year, and also decreasing equity prices, we paused the round. So on November 10th, we decided we would not make recommendations at the November board meeting. We did not believe it was accurate to do so and to continue to rely upon underwriting and development budgets that were created in June and July of 2022. So what we decided to do is ask that every applicant that was still eligible submit to us updated applications that provided updated letters of interest from lenders, also debt of all sources of debt, and then also letters of interest from equity providers. So we wanted updated documents to make sure that what we had was the most current and we weren't relying on information that may not be valid anymore at that point. We also allowed the developers to increase the request. If they had not maxed out the tax credits or any of the other supplemental sources, they could increase their request to help fill any gaps that might have happened because of the changes in financing. So those were due to IHCDA on December 22nd of last year, sorry, December 23rd, at which time we underwent due diligence to make sure that we had everything we needed with the updated information. We then took the next 2 weeks as staff to review that and then issued final letters to them on January 5th if we had any remaining questions or concerns based on what they had submitted to us as updates. Moving along, there was going to be a slide that acknowledged the tax credit team. What I will say is it's a team effort. There's primarily different components, different departments in real estate, the underwriting, and the allocation team, and then also those that help with some of the supplemental finances work together. So it's about 15 people that work together to get to a point where we have recommendations to you today. So I want to just make sure that acknowledge the hard work all of them put in to be able to make what we feel are very good recommendations to you today. So without further ado, I will announce the recommendations for this year's tax credit awards.
Alan, if I can just pause you for a minute, I just want to acknowledge that the screen up here has gone blank for us in the room, but my understanding is June can still see, we can still hear her, and she can still see the presentation, and we have the presentation on our iPad. So
Okay, great.
just want to make sure we noted that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the first recommendation that we have for these year's awards is 38 South. This project will be in Marion. Scored 117.88. The tax credit amount is $879,000. $750,000 in development fund. This will be a 48-unit project, multifamily. It's being developed by Advantix Development Corporation, both new construction and rehab, and is funded, recommended through the not-for-profit set aside. The second project is Canal Village 3. This project will be in Indianapolis. It's scored at 114.89. It's requesting 1.2 million in tax credits. It'll have 33 units with a multifamily designation. It will be new construction with BWI LLC as a developer, and this is being recommended out of the large city set aside. Next is Central 29. This project will also be in Indianapolis. It scored 119. Tax credits at 1.2 million, development fund at 750,000, and a housing trust fund awarded at 1.5 million. They'll have 56 units, both multifamily and supportive housing. There'll be new construction developed by the community builders, and this one is being recommended out of the large city set aside. Next is Christopher Court, also in Indianapolis. This scored 113. 940,000 in tax credits, 750,000 in development funds. It'll have 40 total units. Age restricted. It'll be both rehab and adaptive reuse. It's being developed by T&H Investment Properties LLC and set aside as preservation. Next is Diamond View Apartments. This project will be in South Bend. It scored 115.5, 1.2 million in tax credits. The development fund amount is 750,000. It'll have 60 units. This is a multifamily development that's being developed by Real America Development LLC and being funded out of the community integration set aside. Next is downtown Sullivan Townhomes. This project will be in Sullivan. It scored 120.5. Tax credit request is 1.2 million, 750,000 in development fund, and 750,000 in home. It'll have 40 units with a multifamily designation, new construction. And this is being developed by Radiant Communities Development Corporation of the rural set aside. Next is FOXTAIL Point. This project will be in Sellersburg. It scored 111.5. Tax credit request just under 1.2 million. The development fund amount is 750,000. It'll have 40 units. Also with a multifamily designation. It'll be new construction with Lloyd Cooper Development as a developer and being recommended out of the rural set aside. Next is Home Court at the WIGWAM. This project will be in Anderson. It scored 128, 1.2 million in tax credits, 750,000 in development fund. It'll have 44 units with a multifamily designation, new construction, and being developed by Building and Impacting Communities, Inc. under the small city set aside. Next is Linton Apartments, located in Linton. It scored 111.5. Tax credit amount is 700,838, also 560,000 in development fund. It'll have 36 units with age, it'll be age restricted, or is age restricted. It's rehab. The developer is Wallach Asset Management, and it's being recommended out of the preservation set aside. Princetown Place is the next project. This one will be in Princeton. It scored 115. The tax credit amount is $1,040,000. Also $750,000 from development fund. It'll have 44 units. Multifamily designation, new construction with Advantix Development Corporation as a developer, and funded out of the rural set aside. Providence Commons 2 is the next project. This project will be in Portage. It scored 110.5, 1.2 million in tax credits, 750,000 in development fund, and 1.5 million housing trust fund. It'll have 36 units with a supportive housing and multifamily designation. It'll be new construction. The developer's Housing Opportunities, Inc., and the set aside is Housing First. Next is River Valley Apartments. This project will be in Terre Haute. It scored 120, 1.2 million in tax credits, 750,000 in development fund. It'll have 40 units. The multifamily designation, new construction with New Directions Housing Corporation as a developer, and set aside small city. RIVERGREEN Apartments is the next project. This project will be in Huntington. It scored 117, 680,000, 61 in tax credits. It has 40 units. Multifamily designation, and it is rehab of existing housing developed by Biggs Development and being recommended out of preservation set aside. The next project is SB Thrive in South Bend. This project scored 99.5, requesting $1,196,349 tax credits, $750,000 in development fund, and $2,250,000 in housing trust fund. It'll have 54 units with a supportive housing and multifamily designation. The type is new construction, being developed by South Bend Heritage Foundation and being recommended out of the Housing First Set side. Next to Southern Terrace in Muncie, it scored 114.81. The tax credit request is 1.2 million. This one will have 50 units of multifamily. The type is new construction. Advantix Development Corporation is a developer, and it's being recommended out of the not-for-profit sets. The next project is Thunder Point. This project will be in Fort Wayne. It's scored 118. The tax credit amount is 1.2 million, 750,000 in development fund, 1 million in housing trust fund. It'll have 64 units. Designation is supportive housing and multifamily. The type is new construction. And Keller Development and Bright Point will be the developer. And this is being recommended out of the large city size. The final project for recommendation today is Townhomes at Stony Creek. This project will be in Noblesville. It's scored 119.25. 1.2 million in credits, 750,000 in development fund, 750,000 in home. Total units will be 51, multifamily new construction. The developer is Radiant Community Development Corporation, and this one's being recommended out of the not-for-profit side. So on your screen and also in your packet, you have a map. We thought it'd be helpful to see distribution around the state to see where these deals are. But we feel that it is a good distribution. We're pleased to see that we have projects spread in just about every region throughout our state. So one last thing to note is that in your board packet, you'll find more complete detailed development summaries for the 17 recommended projects, but also development summaries for the 16 deals that are not being recommended today. So that concludes our recommendation. At this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Curious, the deals that aren't recommended, they didn't score high enough, the cost came in at a different level.
Correct. It really came down to scoring. They didn't score high enough. It was a very competitive round, but just about every deal did meet the minimum score at QAP. It was a matter of being competitive as far as the other deals. So what we'll do is we've done previously is invite the developers, if they'd like, to come in and debrief to make sure they understand how the fund scored it up and what they might be able to move forward.
Okay, great, thank you.
Great to see the distribution so well distributed throughout Indiana. Can you, for the record, because I think people may have credit or questions about, you have tax credits, but a lot of the recipients are nonprofits. So explain for folks out there how tax credits work when the entities that are building and own are nonprofits, they don't pay taxes.
Right, so the way that it works is that these tax credits awards are made to applicants, and then they create an ownership entity. But then they actually sell those credits to investors who then have a tax liability and can use those credits. So yeah, just to clarify, if you're not for profit, you don't use credit directly, you use it as a tool to sell the credit and raise equity for construction.
Any other questions?
I would echo the statewide distribution, done a nice job of making sure that it's distributed. I also appreciate the team devoting time over the 2-week holiday period to update.
Yeah, I agree, and they did so without complaint. So it was really commendable that it's something we didn't anticipate when the round started, but everyone made the adjustments in the agenda.
All right. Alan, we're ready for your resolution.
Okay, staff respectfully requests that the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve the following: the aggregate award of LITEC in the amount of $18,636,247. An aggregate award of development fund in the amount of $10,310,000. An aggregate award of home in the amounts of $1,500,000. And an aggregate award of housing trust fund in the amount of $6,250,000. The 17 developments listed in Table A is more particularly identified in the development summary sheets as recommended by staff.
Okay, board, we have a resolution before us. I will entertain a motion.
So move.
Yes.
Andy Seibert, sorry.
Mike Schottenheimer, second.
Great, we have a motion and a second. I will now take the roll. Ann Valentine, aye. Andy Seibert.
Aye.
Daniel Elliott.
Aye.
June Midkiff.
Aye.
Michael Schottenheimer.
Aye.
Hearing no one opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Next, please welcome Jeff Zangalowitz.
Perfect.
Thank you. You're going to present on a Section 811 project-based vouchers.
Thank you, Board. I am presenting today 3 separate projects for Section 811 project-based voucher awards. A little bit of background on the Section 811 program. We received an award of about $7 million from HUD back in summer of 2020 to start the Section 811 PRA program in Indiana. This program provides rental assistance for up to 25% of the units in a project to serve households where at least one individual in the household has a disability and is between the ages of 18 and 62. In our application to HUD for the program, we identified that there would be 3 main target populations we would serve through this program. The first is persons experiencing homelessness. The second is persons with intellectual or developmental disabilities. Then the third is persons living in institutional settings who could live independently with this assistance. For those 3 target populations, we identified 2 main training opportunities that we would provide, and those teams that went through those trainings would be eligible to submit applications. The first was the 2020 Moving Forward initiative, which was for projects who were targeting IDD as their target population and creating integrated supportive housing for those individuals or households. And then the second, which is the training opportunity that the 3 projects that I'm presenting today went through, was the Indiana Supportive Housing Institute. And the 3 projects today went through that in 2021. And those projects all have persons experiencing homelessness as their main target population. Following the board approval today, we will execute a rental assistance contract with these projects for a 20-year term. So that will cover the entire compliance period of the tax credit program to align those award forms with each other. A little bit of background on the process for this application. We integrated the application for the vouchers with the tax credit application. So at the same time these projects submitted for tax credits, they also submitted a form requesting Section 811 PRA funding. And at the same time that we went through their tax credit applications and scored them, we reviewed them for compliance with the Section 811 PRA program. If there were any issues, requested clarifications through the tax credit process. So the background on the 3 projects requesting assistance today, they are the 3 projects that were just presenting tax credits and received awards. One was Project Commons 2. They will be receiving 9 units of assistance, which is equal to 25% of the property. The second one is South Bend Thrive, or SP Thrive. They'll be receiving 13 units of assistance, also equal to 25% of the property. And then 9, which will be 14 units of assistance. So I can take any questions about the projects before going through the resolution.
Board, do we have any questions? Hearing none, we're ready for your resolution.
Staff respectfully request the board approve the following resolutions. Resolved that the board approve awards of Section 811 PRA as described in Exhibit A for a period of 20 years with initial rent set at fair market rent and annual rent adjustments based on the published operating cost adjustment factor as recommended by staff.
Thank you. Board, we have a resolution before us. I will entertain a motion.
Mike Schottenheimer, so moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Daniel Elliott, seconds.
Thank you. I will now take the roll. Ann Valentine, aye. Andy Seibert.
Aye.
Daniel Elliott.
Aye.
June Midkiff.
Aye.
Michael Schottenheimer.
Aye.
Hearing no one opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Next, please welcome James Wells, who will now present Home Community Housing Development Organization Pre-Development Loans, New Hope Development Series.
Madam Chair, Board, good morning. Today I will be presenting the following CHODO pre-development loan application from New Hope Development Services. A bit of briefly background. Funding for this CHODO development loan falls under the Home Investment Partnerships Program that helps in the development of affordable housing for low-income households. Applications for pre-development loans can be applied for on a rolling basis, at which time staff reviews each application to ensure costs are eligible per home regulations and that the organizations meet the federal definition of a CHODO. It is also important to note that the interest rate on the loan is 0% with a repayment term of 24 months. Today, New Hope Development Services is requesting 2 CHODO pre-development loans that will assist them with architectural, engineering, and legal fees for rental new construction development in Petersburg and Oakland City. These 2 developments, for which they plan on applying for home funds in the future application rounds, would provide 16 new units of affordable housing. They consist of the following. The first, White River Landing Phase 2 rental new construction, 8 new construction units located in Petersburg, Indiana, requesting a $30,000 pre-development seed money loan. The second, Oakland's Garden rental new construction, 8 new construction units located in Oakland City, Indiana, requesting $30,000 in pre-development seed money loan. There's also further details in your memos and copies you have. IHCDA will track 2 key performance indicators. The first being how utilization of this resource by our CHODO partners relates to our increased outreach and efforts to increase the number of IHCDA certified CHODOs. And the second indicator being to track the percentage of home projects utilizing pre-development loans that are successful in their home applications. It is the recommendation from staff for the approval of awarding home pre-development loan funding in the form of loans in an aggregate amount not to exceed $60,000 to New Hope Development Services as set forth in Table A. And Madam Chair, I'll be happy to entertain any questions the board may have.
Thank you, James. Do we have any questions? All right, seeing none, we're ready for your resolution.
Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve awarding home pre-development loan funding in the form of loans in an aggregate amount not to exceed $60,000 to New Hope Development Services as set forth in Table A as recommended by staff.
Thank you. Board, we have a resolution before us. I will entertain a motion.
Mike Schotmeyer proudly moved for this one, and I drove through both cities on the way here this morning.
Excellent. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Andy Cyber.
We have a motion and a second. I will now take the roll. Ann Valentine, aye. Andy Seibert.
Aye.
Daniel Elliott.
Aye.
June Midkiff.
Aye.
Michael Schotmeyer.
Aye.
Hearing no one opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Board.
Next, please welcome Samantha Spurgel, who will now present Echo Housing Corporation Promise Home.
Good morning, thank you. To provide a little bit of background, IHCDA partners annually with the Corporation for Supportive Housing, or CSH, offer the Indiana Supportive Housing Institute. The Institute provides training and technical assistance to assist supportive housing partners to learn how to navigate the complex process of developing housing and supportive services to prevent and end homelessness. A request for proposals to solicit interested teams for the 2019 Institute to release in October of 2018. And then from that, 6 teams were selected to participate in the 2019 Institute, including Echo Housing Corporation. That particular institute focused on development serving either chronically homeless households or chronically homeless veteran households. Teams who successfully graduated for that institute were eligible to apply for several sources of capital financing. Most importantly for this particular request, the National Housing Trust Fund. Echo Housing Corporation submitted an application for the National Housing Trust Fund for Promise Home in September of 2022. IHCDA staff reviewed the application for threshold and scoring. A little bit of information about this particular development. This is a new construction building with 27 total units to be located at 1313 Reed Street in Evansville, Indiana. 17 of those 27 units will be National Housing Trust Fund permanent supportive housing units for those chronically homeless households. Each of those households will be at or below 30% of the area median income. And then I also just want to note this is actually Echo Housing Corporation's 6th permanent supportive housing project. I will pause there to see if anyone has any questions.
Board, do we have any questions? Okay, we're ready for your resolution.
Wonderful, thank you. Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve awarding National Housing Trust Fund funding in the form of a grant in an amount not to exceed $1,700,000 to Echo Housing Corporation as recommended by staff.
Thank you. Board, we have a resolution before us. I will entertain a motion.
Again, Mike Schotmeyer proudly support this one, drove by it this morning. Does great work, don't think I had anything to do with it today, but Southwest Indiana is doing very well today. So I support this one.
Wonderful. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll wait seconds.
Great. I will now take the roll. Ann Valentine, aye. Andy Seibert.
Aye.
Daniel Elliott.
Aye.
June Midkiff.
Aye.
Michael Schockmeyer.
Aye.
Hearing no one opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Samantha. Please welcome Hayden Weisinger, who will now present the TCAP monthly update.
Good morning, board. I come to you this with the monthly update on the Tax Credit Assistance Program, or TCAP. Since our last board meeting, we have approved 4 additional TCAP awards. Then for development of the mill, which is a new construction development in Shelbyville, developer BH Affordable. This TCAP award is for $500,000. Riverbend Flats, a new construction project in Muncie by TWG Development, also for $500,000. Boonville Senior Lofts, a new construction project in Boonville with developer Pivotal for $480,000. And Uptown East, a rehab development in Valparaiso by Investment Property Advisors for $500,000. This brings the total number of TCAP approvals up to 32, with just under 14.5 million in total funding that has been approved. With this being an update, there is no additional action, but I will pause for questions if the board has any.
I don't think we have any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I didn't turn my page. Next, please welcome Greg Glassley, who will now present the weatherization allocation table update. I should have talked longer to give you time to make the.
Oh, that's all right. I should have been ready. Should have been halfway up. Good morning. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Got 2 memos, and for some of you that may sound a little familiar, we did 2 of these very similar last year that were approved. So the first one is the weatherization allocation table. So weatherization is a Department of Energy funded program. Our program year begins April 1st. So last year, what was approved was the allocation table update to the light heat portion that goes towards weatherization. So this proposal is to update the allocation table for the Department of Energy funds specifically. So current table uses census data for 2010. So we are proposing to utilize updated census data that's going to better allocate those funds, we think. So any questions before I move on? Okay. So staff respectfully request the board pass the following resolution. Resolve that the board approve the use of the new Department of Energy weatherization allocation table as recommended by staff.
All right. Board, we have a resolution before us. I will entertain a motion.
Andy, I'll let some rules.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
June Midkiff.
There. Excellent. I will now take the roll. Ann Valentine, aye. Andy Seibert.
Aye.
Daniel Elliott.
Aye.
June Midkiff.
Aye.
Michael Schockmeyer.
Aye.
Hearing no one opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Now you're going to present the additional Duke Energy Weatherization Supplemental Health and Safety Fund.
Mouthful, yeah. Yeah, so again, last year Duke Energy gave IHCDA $200,000, which we then gave to 5 subgrantees as a pilot program. The purpose of this, and weatherization is not a construction program. So there's a lot of times where somebody will go into a home to weatherize it, will find some items that are prohibiting the act of weatherization to occur. So we consider those homes then go into deferral. So it may be mold issues, structural issues, those types of things. So the Duke funds that they gave us last year were to get homes out of deferral so that they could then be weatherized. So the initial plan was to spend that money in 2022. By the end of the year, we've spent about 110,000 of that. So we have 90,000 remaining. Now Duke has offered an additional 100,000 on top of that due to the kind of successes of the program so far. We've been able to take 26 homes that would normally go into deferral, out of deferral, and completely weatherized. So it's been a really useful pilot to kind of inform what issues we're finding, how these agencies can best get those homes out of deferral. So our thought is to, because it's $100,000 extra, it's not a great deal of money, and discussions with Duke, we want to continue the pilot and give each of those agencies, the existing 5 agencies, an additional $20,000 to continue this work.
Any questions? Okay, I think we're ready for your resolution.
Okay, got two as well. I'll do one by one. So staff respectfully requests that the board pass the following resolutions. Resolve that the board approve allocation of $100,000 of additional Duke supplemental health and safety funds evenly to the 5 pilot agencies described in table A as recommended by staff.
All right, we have a resolution before us. I will entertain a motion.
Andy Seibert, so moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
June Mitgift, second.
Go ahead, June.
June Mitgift, second.
Thank you, June. And I'll take the roll. Ann Valentine, aye. Andy Seibert.
Aye.
Daniel Elliott.
Aye.
June Midkiff.
Aye.
Michael Schaffner.
Aye.
Hearing no one opposed, that motion is approved. Next resolution.
Okay. Staff respectfully requests that the board pass the following resolution. Resolve that the board approve the ability to spend any additional Duke supplemental health and safety funds to be approved by the executive director of IHCDA. Recommended by staff.
All right, we have a resolution. I will entertain a motion.
June Mitgift, so moved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Andy Seibert, second.
We have a motion and a second. I will now call the roll. Ann Valentine, aye. Andy Seibert.
Aye.
Daniel Elliott.
Aye.
June Midkiff.
Aye.
Michael Schaffner.
Aye.
Hearing no one opposed, that motion also passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
All right, now, highlight of the meeting. An update from our executive director.
Okay, well, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of quick updates. You may have noticed some of when you walked in, there was some repair work being done in the hallways. IHCDA's office did sustain some water damage on December 23rd. And so as a result of that, our office had to close, and we were working remotely for about 2 weeks. I am happy to report, though, during that time where we had to close our office because of the water damage, specifically it was up on the 9th floor, we didn't have any disruption in our operations. The team did a great job with transitioning into working remote. Obviously, we've been through that before, so that wasn't new to us. But I just want to make sure the board was aware that we did have substantial damage to our office, and that the operations continued through all of that. So there was no disruption to any of our, especially at the end of the year when we have to get payments out in many cases. So that I know, especially at the accounting team, like Rich and Brent, they were working extra hard to make sure that we could overcome some server issues that we experienced, that we had some water damage as well. So just want to thank our team and let the board make them aware of the challenge we had with operations at the end of the year. So the other thing that I'd like to just brief the board on is over the summer, we released in the qualified allocation plan, there's 10% of the credits are set aside for a general set aside. And that general set aside allows the executive director of IHCDA to prioritize and to allocate those credits at discretion. And I've used that to promote innovation and to take on some very complicated challenges within our community. And this year, we did the same thing. We issued an RFP out and asked for a community challenge. But we also identified that we wanted to see more emerging developers, first-time developers who were wanting to get into developing housing across our state, and that IHCDA could be supportive of that. But we also made took that initiative a step further and identified that those eligible would be women-owned businesses or veteran-owned businesses or veteran-owned businesses with a disability or minority-owned businesses as well. So those developers would have the opportunity to present to us a community challenge. And so as a result of that, we had over 20 developers respond with developments that were highly impactful across our state. Unfortunately, we could only do 2. And then with that, we narrowed it down to 8 developers that we invited in to do a presentation. So with that, knowing that we were going to have 8 presentations and we were going to select 2, I put together a selection committee that was made up of single parents, students from Ivy Tech in Muncie, who were just outstanding. And I also want to just thank Ivy Tech and Muncie for their partnership in helping us with pulling together a selection committee members of individuals that are working, are going to school, and are also single parents. And so they took time out of their schedule during the holiday break to sit and listen and ask very thoughtful and relevant questions to these 8 developers on their presentations. Those presentations took place on January 12th. And then the selection committee has met and they have made a recommendation as to, they came to a consensus on the 2 developers. I'm not going to share who those are because we'll announce that at another time. But I just want to mention how proud I am of our partnership that we have with Ivy Tech. I want to acknowledge the 20 developers that had submitted proposals that were outstanding proposals. And even though we can only do 2 developments, there's 18 developments that, like I said, are very highly community driven. IHCDA is going to continue to offer technical assistance and training to those other 18 developers. So hopefully that they can come in during the next tax credit round that we have coming up in July of this year or another year, because we definitely want to continue and encourage those developers to put their developments forward, even though it would be in a competitive round. So IHCDA at the next board meeting, I will share with you who the 2 developers are that will have an opportunity to submit an application for that general set aside. So at the next board meeting. So that's my update for this month. So thanks.
Thank you, Jake. I just want to compliment you and the team on that particular project. I was able to serve in the initial review process. And I know we, as the board, get to see staff come up and present, but I got to sort of see behind the scenes and their depth of knowledge and dedication was really impressive, and really applaud your leadership in connecting with Ivy Tech, where I worked before I came here, and just their single parent project is deeply tied to housing. It is a critical issue for students. So I really applaud you for making those connections. And I did also want to give you, Jake, a shout out for earlier this week. Jake joined me in testifying in the House Ways and Means Committee on our budgets and did an outstanding job and represented the organization really well. So thank you for that. Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the board?
Jake, you mentioned servers were affected in our backup function as we expected it to.
It did, actually. Everything went fairly well. We you know, anytime you get into that situation, security is number 1 concern when we have those issues. Number 2, how quickly can we get back online? We have a great IT team with Scott Munoz and Dylan sitting right behind me. Those guys, and they just did great work. And I know we had to get some payments out before the end of the year. And I know the team already had a backup plan in place in case that wasn't able to get restored. And any other issues that we had. We had some other issues too, that we had no power in the building, actually, for about 2 days. There was no elevators, there was no power. I was sitting at the front desk by myself in the black, watching with flashlights with the construction guys. But you know, everybody kept their composure and kept moving and knew we had a job to do, which was to get those payments out. We did. So. And in the middle of all that, we're also getting audited with some auditors that are asking questions, and so trying to pull all that information. So yeah, it's okay.
What we hear so often about backups failing, so obviously it did not fail. I want to get that in the record.
Yeah, there was,
our system did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Was there damage to your equipment or fixtures?
We do have a few workstations that were damaged and that had to, we have a few folks that we had to relocate. Our training room was damaged. I don't know if we'll be able to be in there next month or not, like we normally are with our board meetings. And then we had a few another training room that was heavily damaged as well. But luckily, everything seems to be working just fine, so, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
earlier we had a vote on the minutes,
Oh.
and we had 2 members abstain. Because of that, we did not have a quorum
Oh, dear.
to approve the minutes.
Okay.
So I just want to bring up a couple of things. One, you do not have to be present at a board meeting to approve the minutes from that meeting. What happens is the minutes don't approve what happened. That approval doesn't approve what happened. All it says is that you're aware of what happened and you didn't have any objections to it. So you were given copies of the minutes prior to the board meeting. Unless you had a strong objection to something in those minutes, then you can abstain or say no. But other than that, you can't vote on minutes at a meeting that you did not attend.
Okay.
So if we could do that over again, if either one of these two want to change their vote.
I would certainly change my vote.
Okay.
So do we start, I'll start again with a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Say your name.
Mike Schottenheimer, so moved.
Do we have a second?
Daniel, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. I will take the roll. Ann Valentine, aye. Andy Cyward,
Aye.
Daniel Elliott,
Aye.
June Midkiff,
Aye.
Michael Schockmeyer.
Aye.
Hearing no one opposed, that motion now passes. Thank you. Anything else to come before? Hearing no other business, the meeting is adjourned at 10:48 a.m. Thank you.
Be in touch. Yes, sir.